pledge allegiance, please. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Patty, roll call. Kevin.
Here.
Gary.
Here.
Jessica. Here. Gary.
Here.
Eddie. Here. Okay, visitors and public comment. Anybody? Okay, opening of bids. Gary, you are going to have the road bids. I have none. Yes, we won't be opening those. You want to run that again? For ditching on Birch? Okay.
What happened? Did you get anybody?
We didn't get anybody for ditching on Birch.
I got one call, and I called him back, and he called me back, I think Friday. And, so, pretty late for you, so you get a bid in, and they wanted me to send them documents. I says, there is no document, you gotta come look at the road and give us an estimate as to what it costs to, clean all the brush and the trees out of the right of way. Oh, okay. So,
What do you think we're gonna get anybody? Do you think we're gonna be able to get somebody to do this?
Maybe we can look at hiring
You're
somebody.
retired.
What's that?
You're retired
Oh, get
now.
out of here.
You don't wanna use a chainsaw.
Chainsaw and
Yeah,
dig and you do?
I know how to use, but not,
He only knows how to use it on his yard.
yeah.
I know.
Maybe we can look at hiring somebody to do that, because we have the equipment, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin, he doesn't have anything to do on Saturday.
After football game, yeah, we'll be fine.
All right, let's open up the assessor bids. This is from Moeller Assessments.
Should we explain to the public, I'm just asking you this,
Go ahead.
why are we doing this? Because our assessor is,
Contract is up.
yeah, the guy we've had for years is now leaving us.
Okay, we have a kind of a resume here. We have insurance. And compliance status update. And contract. Base salary, okay, there we go. 17.5 per year for annual review maintenance only. Market adjustment is base times 2 if necessary. Exterior revaluation is base times 3 if necessary. And full-scale value revaluation, interior and exterior is base times 4 if necessary. Got all that?
Is that from?
Huh?
From?
That's from me.
Moeller?
Yeah.
Is that, okay. You guys wanna look at it? Here's their one, let's look at one. I'm hoping I pronounced that name right.
There's a number of different ways. I've heard Miller, Mueller, Mueller, so I just respond to all of them.
And this one is Becker Appraising. Clarence, you're here? Okay. Annual bid for 2021 is 16.6 plus postage. 2022, well, each year is 16.6. Anything other than that? Oh, so his bid is at 16.6. Kurtzwell Appraisals, Jeremy Kurtzwell. His is at a flat fee of 17 per year. That's 17,000, not $17. So everybody knows. Troy's gonna have one difficult one. This is from Cindy Chase. Pardon? Elfberger Appraisals. And this is not bid what we had asked for. This is a regular maintenance price, market adjustment, revaluation, and then additional charges are building permits, commercial building property, all of that, so. Take a look.
Handling of the building permits has got an additional fee
Mhm.
above and beyond? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got a copy of that mailed to me.
did you?
And I looked at it and it's like,
That
I
wasn't
believe
we
that's
asked
what the
for.
ad said, we wanted a total bill, so
Right,
we know where everything is,
Yeah.
not that, and it's open-ended, you don't know how many building permits or whatever you're gonna have done in a year.
we have two assessors here, so if you have questions, now would be the time.
So how many are in the audience?
Right here.
Two of them.
Two,
Yeah.
okay.
Number one, I see you had plus postage,
That was mine, Becker.
so,
Postage will run usually $50 to $60 on a typical township. The only time that would change, the state requires us to change the egg use value every year. But prior to them changing the law last year the law was changed that anything that increased or decreased, either $500 plus or minus or less, doesn't need a notice if it's only changed for agricultural use. So that eliminated a lot of that extra postage where you'd have to send out 300-400 envelopes or more. And in your township would be, if everybody got one, might be 4 or 5. But that should have got changed this year. I don't know if it did. The state, passed that law and said we should change that egg use every year.
One share left.
In the past, there was always discussion about falling out of compliance. Where are we sitting right now as far as
I
what
think
we
we're at
are?
what, 97%,
Right now, you're at 92%.
92%?
Yeah, so you're within the range. You have to be in compliance at least once every 5 years, which means you have to be between 90 and 110. In 2018, you were 97%. All these new sales taking off around here kind of changed that, so it fell to 92. You should be good for this 3-year contract. Unless you specifically requested the town getting revalued, you're probably going to be fine. Even if you do fall out of compliance, which is probably possible to happen. I've seen that in a lot of towns around central Wisconsin. CG probably has also. Sales are kind of driving that. But for this contract, you probably will not need a revaluation unless you specifically request it. But there's a good chance when you want a renewal in 3 years that'll be a discussion on the table. When should that be done?
And that has to happen immediately, or you had 3 years to get back into compliance once you were out of compliance?
You have to be in once every 5. And so if you get to year 4 or year 3 and say, let's go, let's do it now, then it kind of starts that clock over again. There also are strange cases where, like 2008, where all of a sudden the market crashes and the state says, hey, we're lowering the town of McMillan's assessed value down, and you fall back in. That starts the clock again too. It's rare, it does occasionally happen, but you're good right now.
And it
Yeah,
is
the only thing I noticed was the sales for 2019, which affects your 2020
Mhm.
equalized value and whether you're in compliance. You had 22 residential sales that came to 89.1%. And usually the Department of Revenue determines that what level you're gonna be at. And it sounds like you're gonna be below the 90% in 2020.
It'll be close.
And that's like, in my proposal there, I said, you would probably be looking at a revaluation in 2024 would be the 5th year out. You got 20, 21, 22, and 23.
Okay,
That you're below the 90%, then the 5th year you need to bring it back above the 90%. Because you'll get a letter at the end of the 4 years from the state that says you're out of compliance, you have to be
so
in.
they'll tell us.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a remote possibility you could be in compliance in 2020.
True.
Yeah.
Very, they did it in town of Spencer, 89.5%. And the sales they used 3 percentages, and they were all 89.5 to 90.5. And I thought, well, we might squeeze by another year. Well, that was 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and it was a 0.5% low, and nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. Any more questions?
So in the first 2 to begin with, there was no estimated, if we're out of compliance, what that was gonna cost?
On mine, no, there wasn't. It depends, it's kind of like Mueller's here. It depends on what you want for evaluation. If you want a complete walkthrough of every house,
Right.
or if you want an exterior. I as an assessor usually recommend something in the middle, not just a market update from the book. That look at the houses where there isn't finished basement on the card, check those houses. There are other houses that appear to have some remodeling or something, and the value might look a little low. And maybe go through a quarter to a third of the houses. And 'cause I know I took over Spencer and Frankfurt years ago from Jim. The values were good. There was nothing that was like 50% high, 50% low. You can always get one occasional house that does that, but if you like, I can show you what I use as far as program and how I go about the work, if you like.
I'm good, I understand how it works.
But what I do, this inch binder contains all the information for the town of Spencer. Every house, outbuilding, and it's just, if you can see, you can't see too much from it, you can see 3 pictures here. Those are 3 separate houses with the house information and then the outbuildings. If it's a farm parcel, it might take up a half a page or a full page, but it's just in here by roads. And as I drive down the road, I just check off and make sure all the buildings are there, nothing burned, nothing fell down with snow. I took off 50 or 60 sheds in a triple-sized township in town of Arcadia. It was just, in those valleys, the snow hung on the shed. And, the other, I'd like to show you just one report that I do, which I threw together here for Tom McMillan. Just pass that around. Those are actually your sales. It doesn't have square footage on there because I don't have the assessment cards, but those are actually the sales that happened so far in 2020 and what happened in 2019. But normally it would print $1 per square foot on those houses, if I had the actual square footage of those houses off the cards. And that I provide every board review. Just makes it easy for the board if we do get a person in for board review. We got a good thing to reference, you know, and be able to show the taxpayer also, this is why we made our decision.
What are you figuring your estimated postage might have been?
Less than $100.
It's just something that's unforeseen that you throw in.
I don't want to put it up $200 because we got to change egg use every 5 years. Now with the new law, I don't think the egg use is even going to see an envelope.
Yeah.
And that was the anticipation of the legislative that to leave it at 500 and that would cover 90% of those changes. But even if postage was for the whole township, if you had every house, 800 houses, and most of them ain't got egg line, you probably 400 envelopes at 50 cents is $200. So the total bill would never go probably over 16.8.
Patty, you had a question?
Yes. So, either one of you guys taking over, when Jim left Board of Review, he gave me a backup of Market Drive
Yeah.
and copies of the emails that he's gotten so far. I'm copied on notifications for building permits and sanitary permits, but are you guys in a position that either one of you, if you take on the contract, that can continue? Or,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Jim used to get them straight from Marathon
county.
County.
Yeah.
I get the
That's-
same, yeah.
That's where we're all getting them straight from
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
They
so
copy
we
us
could take the
also.
We could
middleman out.
we could get the whole year's worth.
Yeah.
And Market Drive, you guys can take that and get the information off of it.
That's not a problem.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, the assessor is required to provide that in a usable format
Right, yeah,
by law.
yeah.
I did have brought a copy of that if you'd like to see it, that he is supposed to be, he's responsible for the cost to put it in like a text format or a spreadsheet format or,
We have it in printed format,
yeah.
Yeah,
just the
Yep.
backup of
But
the,
it's supposed to be, they passed that about 4 or 5 years ago, that it has to be, Market Drive likes to hold your information hostage, that you're required to use that program.
right.
yeah.
And they will charge us to take the information and get it off of that disk.
Yeah. As far as Market Drive, I can use that,
That's-
and that would be no problem. I would give a jump drive similar to the disk that Jim gives, so it'd be no problem either way. And I bear the cost of any of the software upgrades or anything needed ever.
All right, we need a.
So do you, I have one question. You physically go by every house every year?
Every house, every year,
Definitely.
yeah.
That's why I got those houses in that. They're not in a file where I can't find them. It's not so hard when it's just a house and a garage. You get to know the township, you know where they're at. When you do a farming township, when there's 4 silos or 5 silos, and they put one up without a permit, and they like to do that in those townships, or take one down,
Yeah.
if there's an assessor that can remember how many silos are on each place, that's pretty good.
Jim probably could have, because he's been here so long.
Yeah,
But we'd both be learning the town, so,
let's have pictures too.
yeah.
And that's what he used for the pictures.
And yeah, I've been,
Is he much like,
And beating up the,
Those spiders,
over a spider.
Well, it was a fast one, I don't like
I think,
Little slow ones are
I
okay.
think he's going.
and I don't know if you're all aware of, I've been assessing Thomas Spencer, I think it's like 18 years, 19.
So we have to choose one of the.
Right, we need a motion to whoever,
Sammy's just not, it did not come in a format that we asked for.
right? So we would have no idea what the total price would be at the end of the year. on that one.
Yeah, and it was specific with
Yeah,
price per year.
yeah,
Well, it looks to me like we're down to one of these two gentlemen, right?
that would be my guess.
Showing up expresses a lot of interest to me, so.
yeah, that's,
I'm not sure that she's in.
I haven't opened it.
You have a recommendation?
recommendation.
Do you have
That's
a
what I
recommendation?
think too.
I mean, they're both,
Not,
both would be
yeah.
totally
the
acceptable.
last time we bid, she just
Right.
put it in and they cleaned it.
And the bids are
Very similar.
very similar.
You're only talking a couple $100 difference.
Yeah, two very qualified people with bids that are essentially the same. It's just a tough call, and I don't know either one. I don't want to know much about either one of them. It's worth it.
I've never met him till today.
Sure.
Anybody on my left?
I know Kurt
Yeah.
Muller.
We went to school
We went to
together.
school together.
Yeah. In Stratford. I'm
His
originally from
dad,
town
it
of
was the
Cleveland.
family.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a strange situation, because two very qualified people, and it's,
Yeah.
Is it $400 difference with it?
Yeah, well, depending on the postage. So we need a motion.
Well, I guess I'll make the motion to take the lowest bid,
For Becker appraising?
if that was the one,
Yeah.
just a little bit, yes.
Yeah. Can you get a second on that?
What was the motion you mumbled?
Yeah, just take the lowest.
bid,
That would
of
be
the
Becker's.
qualified ones. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So we need a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion, anyone? Patty, you want to do a roll call? And even if you don't, do it anyway? What?
Kevin,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Jess,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Deb.
Aye. And I would like to thank you for bringing that in.
This is tough.
That's all right. No, absolutely. No, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No,
Thank you for responding.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if the first guy bails out,
And I don't blame them, that's why we put it at the beginning of the meeting, so that it should be allowed.
Absolutely. I'm gonna sneak out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No knocking the low bidder off outside.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Before anybody leaves tonight, you have to all sign this, okay?
Do you have your email and contact in there? In the bid?
I don't think so.
I can call you and get that too.
Here you go.
I
Just don't let
got
it-
a card in the truck, but I don't have one here. I got one here.
which,
Once I get him to sign it, are you okay with scanning and sending me a copy, or do you want me to mail the original?
is that how much difference was?
You can scan it and send it to me.
yeah, we paid for
This
that.
is,
Software
Yep.
They go long
That was
agenda.
what, 65?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Clarence.
Okay.
For the reassessment.
Do you keep regular hours here or not?
Thursdays.
On Thursday?
that's the only thing you have.
I'll just stop back on a Thursday and
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
After
that
this,
we
set
get the
something up.
information for the assessing.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, I know
All
a
the
little bit about it, I don't know.
I'll show you what I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys
I'll
can
call
call
you and send that out.
Right, right, so,
Thanks.
I was talking with you,
right. Yeah.
what it is.
Okay.
It was
Are you ready?
23 years
I'm ready.
Okay, approval of town board minutes from May 11th.
Motion to approve town board minutes of May 11th as presented.
And I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of special town board meetings of May 22nd.
I will move to those, I have seen those, and I'll see them.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Report, Land Commission, Ms. Dorfman.
Okay, well, we met the day after Memorial Day because of holidays, we meet on Tuesdays. A few people show up. A lot of discussion about the rezone from rural residential to neighborhood commercial for Dan and Mary Berg. And the recommendation of the Plan Commission was to okay it because we're strictly advisory. This way they can move on to the next step, which is board on board. We now have a contract with Dennis Lawrence for the start our comprehensive plan, and that's kind of what our next meeting is going to be about.
Any questions for Dorfman? Okay. Mr. Rod, Fire Department.
We had, since the last normal or the regularly scheduled town board meeting, we had 3 EMS calls. No new hires or people getting off of probation. At this time, no outside classes due to the corona thing. The department is also keeping track of the COVID-19 expenses. I don't believe there's anything this last month. To add to that, but we are keeping track of that. The DNR grant I received a little while ago is due July 1st. All the information of the grant I have has been completed and is awaiting board approval.
Okay. And you're gonna be starting with your regular meetings again, so you'll be posting them and having meetings?
Yes.
Okay. Starting this month?
Yes.
Okay.
Training this month, we're also starting back up in-person training. We're starting that earlier, obviously, than the other month, for the pure sake of usually it's half and half the department, so we'll be starting that tomorrow night. We're going to be doing car fires and related drills.
I suppose it would be kind of hard to do on Zoom, wouldn't it?
Yes, we've been doing a lot of computer stuff and that type of training, trying to get that away. Normally we say that for winter, but
Just a thought.
Yep.
Any questions for Rod?
I'm not quite done yet.
Okay.
Still going. COVID update, department members are continuing to wear masks on EMS calls and practicing social distancing whenever possible.
You guys have to wear those, the protection, don't you? No. You don't anymore?
Not necessarily, but we have chosen as a group to do so,
I think I would.
just to purely protect ourselves and the family homes that we go into, just for that sake.
Yeah.
I mean, I work at the Marshall Clinic, so I have to wear a mask while
All
I'm
the
seeing
time.
patients, and if my coworker is closer than 6 feet. I mean, so it's just the courtesy thing that we've decided to do.
As we were stating there, at this time, the department will start training and meeting at the station once again. For that, tentatively, the department is planning on opening the station back up to members, families and stuff. You know, as they come through and they do rate checks or whatever, allow family members in. We're looking at possibly July or August, and then the general public possibly in August, depending upon how things kind of progress here. Laura, do you want to take care of EMS?
We need to finish our EMT refresher that was started and postponed due to COVID-19. We have 2 classes left, and then we can renew all of our licenses. For our service license, I do need our tax ID number.
Federal ID number?
Yeah, that.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the acronym.
11862.
I
I know too.
I can do that. So that's what we're gonna work on, finishing off.
Did you want the state number too?
Don't tell me numbers I can't remember.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions?
Last month, there was discussion on employees and paperwork being filed. Has that been all taken care of?
Yep, we're all on the same page.
Okay.
We're just waiting for one guy to figure out what he wants to.
Is that the one that doesn't know what his last name is?
We got that, well.
Yeah. Okay, Finance Committee. Mr. John, you got anything for us?
No, we haven't.
Okay. Jessica, you'll be taking that over completely. Library buildings and grounds newsletter. Okay, the pavilion, the back door is locked on that. We have had, what, 1 rental so far, Patty?
Correct.
And they are starting to pick up again. But Larry had asked me if he's going to be checking it, because we have nobody to go and clean it every day if somebody goes in and uses the bathroom. So, and with COVID, I think we're better off leaving that door locked.
Have you had any other calls other than that one about did you say you had 1 call and they were wondering why it wasn't open?
No, I had one call that in February that I needed to close it down.
Yeah, there hasn't been any questions on whether or not the door is open.
No, not at all. No, the one in February was I had to shut it down. I said it's not even open. There's no heat in there. No, that was that one. But there haven't been any questions on it. I don't know, do you guys want to think about putting a porta potty out there?
No.
I guess I've never, because we're next door, so I've never used it, but do you normally leave it open all the time for?
It's usually open from like 8 in the morning till 8 at night or 9 at night.
I have a timer on the back door,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's 8 to 8 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is.
You know, then
But because we don't
people-
have a regular cleaning crew like the city does,
Right.
that's why we're not.
Oh, we just to put it back in to,
Mhm.
well, we didn't have a plan on having it open, you know, with the corona.
Well, we opened it up a month late the way it was,
Right.
so, because what everybody canceled.
Right.
So I don't know, do you want to do something different? You wanna
Well, do
just-
we have an idea when we open it up again, or?
I don't know, we'll probably have the whole state shut down again in come October. But,
By then you'd be shutting the water off.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Because the city opened theirs up, right, June 1st?
yeah, but like you said, they have a
They
cleaning
have a
crew
cleaning
going in. We don't have that.
What if we
Unless
done in the
you're
past?
volunteering.
No, I don't even think I have bathrooms. What have we done in the past?
Put a sign on there, go next door.
Just
No.
Just left it, and we check them, once a week.
Somebody just randomly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with this out here, I don't quite know what we,
I know, like I found out the Legion, they're, like, they open tonight for state night, but they're not gonna be open for bingo, and they didn't start with the music on the patio yet. So they're starting to open up. They were completely closed for everything.
yeah. I think we'll just kind of play this one by ear.
Maybe the end of the month or something.
Yeah, I mean, if the state isn't going into a panic, maybe we can
Yeah.
put the
Well,
lock
and I
back
haven't
in
seen
there.
a ton of people over there anyways that are really being issues.
Yeah, that's,
So on that note, and speaking with Heidi before the meeting, the girls wanna use the field for practice. Keith is gonna come and work the field up, and
no, he's not, because I've already got that taken care of. It just got sprayed, they have to dye, and then it's gonna get tilled.
can you call Heidi later? Or I'll call Keith.
Call Keith later.
So with that, they're not sure, they don't have a league, but they were looking at the whole Stafford Spencer thing. Possibility they may have a game here per se.
What days did they say where they were gonna practice, Patty?
She just told me she could have games here, and she's gonna practice every week, Monday and Wednesday.
Yeah. So, we're good with them. And I had already told her that would be, all these weeds have to die first. They were sprayed this week, and they take a few days, and then it'll be tilled up, and then it'll be taken care of. So, what else did I have? Nothing. Gary Maya?
Nothing really new. This is the month, Steve and I have been keeping a list.
Oh, I do have one more thing. The library is open. They opened the 29th. So, go ahead.
Steve and I have been keeping a list, it's not a big list, but of the people who requested the second recycling bins. I think there's about 12 on there, Ken.
Something like that,
And two of the people actually already had the bins because they had contacted us because they heard about what we're doing. And they had been contracting independently with advanced proposal for a price of, I think, $10 a month. And we're gonna be charging 20 a year.
Yeah.
So they're getting a better deal, but we're gonna, the way we had done the timing and the accounting, it's to give the bins to people by July 1st, okay? And it's just a matter of, I think maybe next week, I'll get a spreadsheet, send it to Dale North with an email. These people need the extra recycling bin. Steve, you got the building, but I'll take care of getting with Dale North and saying to bring deliver recycling bins to these people in there. And he's pretty good about doing that. He responds very well.
Yeah.
You email him and he emails you back right away, okay, I'll take care of it. So-
And he always tries to be very accommodating.
And I haven't had any problems, so we'll see what happens.
I wonder if you can get a list from him that we can put in our tax bills, telling people what recycle comes by, you find all this bubble wrap that everybody's getting all their stuff online delivered, and all that plastic stuff and that's not recyclable.
That is on the backside of the schedule when it's put into the tax
Is
bills.
all of it there?
Well, it's It's what they, Advance sends us for information.
And I know, you know, some people, they put dirty cardboard, pizza boxes and stuff like that in there. You know, it's,
A lot of
it
people,
says clean cardboard.
a lot of people have, in the township, you know this, they have fire pits and they burn a lot of cardboard. They really do. I mean, I don't know if that's even kosher or not, but they have fire pits and they burn cardboard.
If they're using it for starting, but yeah, you're not supposed to burn rubbish.
Because we get a lot at home delivered. The Amazon Prime account my wife's got,
I got one of them.
I was watching the FedEx guy.
Everybody does right now.
They're always in the house.
At one point, Jimmy said he might be our new godfather for
Oh.
the next child.
But anyway.
He's at the house more than I
It
am.
looks like everybody nowadays is getting, ordering a lot of things, because you can't even find it in the stores.
A lot of the stores are shut
Half
down.
the stuff that I want, I go to a Fleet Farm or Menards or whatever, they're out or they don't have it anymore, okay? You get online, it comes in the next day, so.
You can order it from Amazon.
Well, you do.
If
It
we
comes
can
in.
get this information, is it acceptable to put it online rather than make another insert?
Right.
Okay.
Anyway, that's.
And I can't believe the stuff I pick up when I walk the dog, you know, that blows out of the recycling. I mean, people with the names and addresses and everything. I mean, nothing goes in my recyclable bin with my name and address on it.
All right.
Anything else here?
No.
Okay, Mr. Brown, it's your turn.
Well, on the highways, that's been patching. The bridge up here is actually gonna come in at about 750,000 now. They're not gonna make it as long as they first wanted to, and I think it had to do with that driveway right there.
Gonna be wider.
It's gonna be a few feet wider and a few feet longer, not an awful lot. That's what they figure right now, $750,000. So we gotta come up with, 20% of that, and then we'll get 10 back.
We've already got that put in.
Yeah, we've got that. Pat and Rod were out today trying to get the water run over on Kingman. Finally figured out there's springs here that weren't around in the last few years, because the owner of that property came out, and she said she's got one in her backyard, and I got one in my front yard, and she said that it hadn't been there until the last couple of years, yeah.
I got one under right now.
There's one on each side of the road there in the ditch. So,
So
because
we have a
they all
water
used to mow them, and all of a sudden they're wet all the time.
Residents across the road had issues with water standing in their ditches, so I guess they contacted you, Gary. And then, so Gary had Pat go over, and we were hand digging today because of where the power lines and everything, or not power lines, but gas lines
Yeah.
and internet are and stuff, so.
Oh, that
We
is-
found that the water is actually, the problem's probably across the road, because it had silted in by her sump pump and stuff, so it was making a pool there. And we felt it was maybe possibly going underneath the road and then coming up into the ditch on the far side. So hopefully tomorrow we're gonna be able to go back and do some more corrective things.
Hopefully tomorrow will be a little cooler. It had to
Did the
be
hand
warm
digging
up
today.
It had to be
Yeah.
warm.
I see they did mark, and that guy was supposed to call me that day, to come over there this afternoon, and he didn't. I stayed home all day. It was a beautiful day to go for a ride with the top down. But this guy was gonna call in the afternoon, so I wasn't a happy camper today. But, within the next 2 weeks, that intersection, and they did come and cut that out, the other cut they had to make. And Red Ruby, they should be patched within 2 weeks.
Okay. Anything else?
And hopefully this guy is gonna work out for when we need him to come, he'll come. And we'll work on the other culverts that didn't get replaced last year.
Yeah,
And
we haven't done this year.
be able to get them all, get them done.
Anything else, Gary?
Nope.
Okay, treasurer, financial report, Mr. Steve. Everybody's got the report in front of them?
That's more than I've got right now.
Anybody have any questions for the financial report?
Steve, I looked at it and I don't see anything you need to report or any concerns you have?
The only thing I could say is that the bank is kind of strange with the way they post interest to the savings accounts. In April, there was nothing posted, and the statements weren't available for the savings accounts. I was led to believe that it's posted only quarterly, but then in May, it showed up and we got interest in all the accounts, so.
So we are getting interest every month, they're just,
Well, we got it in May, that's what I can tell you.
oh,
What is the interest rate going to look like?
I think it shows on the spreadsheet.
So which one, Kevin?
Just interest rates in general.
there,
Point 31, point 21, point 21, point 6.
says the rate right on it.
1.30. And the loan is 275.
It's always possible we
When
could
does
go
that
shopping
do?
for another bank. and
It's
get
in your
better
check.
interest
Okay.
rates.
I was gonna say, I think
Yeah,
that's.
probably not.
Any questions? We need a motion to accept Steve's financial report.
I so move.
In a second,
I second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, Patty, you're up.
Hang on, I'm still typing just as my name.
Sorry.
You just need to J in from
She's got one of those long last names.
When she had, yeah, there's always a red squiggly under Gary, I guess. So the CPZ notifications that I received, there's one new address for a new construction on Winter, there's a sanitary permit for Man and Marsh, zoning permit on Kraus, those have all been issued by the county and there's no action. There's also a notification that there's a CMS approved, or CSM approved at the county level for Man, and at this point, they're not requesting any action. You're looking at checklist and checks to approve 17113 through 17149, including electronic fund transfers 2020-29 through 2020-36. Amount is $87,212.30. But I would also request that the board approve additional checks that need to be paid that came to my attention today. There's a pavilion cancellation due to COVID to Gina Clausen, that's in the amount of $200. PILT disbursements, which would be a check to Marathon County for $939.10. Marshfield School District for $1812.97. Mid-State for $202.01. And then the next advanced disposal, $13,925.09. So it'd make your total disbursements $104,291.47.
Now, question, does that include the general code check?
The general code check has been voided in QuickBooks, but it still lists as an outstanding check due to the reconciliation being 5/31.
Okay. But it's not on our new list?
Correct.
Okay.
What is on your new list, the one that you asked about is the contract for the revision of the comp plan. Breather loan is on here. That is $32,343.22. Jim Kurzweil's border, or annual assessor contract is on here. The other big one is advanced. So the advanced disposal bill came in after last month's meeting, and it also just came in today. So there's one in the checklist, and then we'll approve if you.
The next
approve
one.
next.
Or the next one?
Those bills always, if I get them for the meeting, I'm lucky. They're always behind on it.
It's always, yeah, they always come in, it seems like the next day after the work is done.
Yep.
Any questions?
Well, I have a question, but it's on the uncleared ones. thought them couple from last April were gonna be taken care of.
One is for Alicia, does she have that money? Don't know.
She's got way too much money.
Can you ask her for us, please, considering that's your daughter?
She's got cash, she's got.
And who's
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
other
April
pledge?
last year.
Yes.
One of the volunteer firefighters.
The one who's working. Or some of these are, Anthony's got a couple of them. Alicia's got a couple of them. I'm gonna give that girl my sizes for Christmas.
I mean, we have eight from 2019 that
Yeah.
haven't cleared, you know.
I'll have to look at you.
All checks for the fire department have been issued, right? They're all out. Steve mails them, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Patty, you were asking for how many additional checks off the top of your head?
5. That's probably the rules and all that good stuff. Yeah, Marathon County Marshall School District Mid-State, the Clausen one for the pavilion cancellation and advance.
Motion to approve checklist 17113 to 17149. Include additional check 17150 to 17154. And electronic transfers 2020 29 to 2020 36.
I second.
What if I mess up and leave the checks in and the check number is different?
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
And you're gonna get a bad girl.
And those will show up on the report that we screwed up on.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, was your motion including the 5 checks?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking. All right, anything else, Patty, that you need?
I don't think so.
You voted
Okay.
yes on it, and then you asked me what my motion was.
Pardon?
You voted yes on it, and you asked me what my motion was.
I voted on the checks that you had listed, and I wanted to make sure that those extra ones were added. Because I knew what the amount was, and I read the check numbers, but I just missed the extra checks that you said.
All right.
And yes, I did vote yes on it.
He's a new kid, we usually talk amounts, he's talking individual checks.
Yeah, I know. Okay, resolution on zoning ordinance amendment for Dan and Mary Bird, Kingdom Home Storage LLC. This is the one for the rezone from, County from E.
Excuse me. But we have to make sure that there's one stipulation with that rezone. If they have not purchased the land yet, so it's contingent upon them purchasing the land for the recommendation.
Okay.
Now, I got a question. Dorothy, there was a discussion, a meeting about talking to the people who were next door or whatever, the neighbors.
No,
Have there been any opposition?
I checked with the county to see who's responsible.
Okay,
And Dominic, that is the town board that is responsible for letting, so the public can come to the town board, because we're strictly a recommendation, but you are the people that,
And the public hearings are set up at
and
the
then
county.
if it goes to the county, then there's a public hearing where they let them know, but the locals can come to the town board meeting,
Mhm.
is how Dominic explained it to me.
So as far as we know right now, nobody's opposing.
that's what I'm
Well,
asking. There's no one,
We
There
don't know.
was, there was
We don't
nobody
know.
at the plan commission meeting, which, we went by the recommendation, but at the town board meeting, you'll have to.
The problem we have with this is it does not fit into our current, comp plan as it is, our comp plan as it is right now, correct?
Correct, zone rural residential.
Well, it would be changed, the rezone would go from rural residential to neighborhood commercial.
Right, but it does not fit into the comp plan right now, correct?
that is kind of a minor point at this, because you have a commercial one kitty corner from there.
But it's kitty corner, but it's not in that area.
And you've got a church.
And we also told Aller no,
Yep.
that right
So
next door.
where's this property in respect to the ones that,
It's 200 feet south, I believe, of where Aller's is. And we told Aller's no.
And Solutions.
And Solutions, they wanted them to
Well,
put
before it
behind
was
there.
Solutions. Yeah, we turned down 2 in the past, and
And very recent past, that was November for Aller.
That we're both really close, or is that a map? Are you looking at?
You guys have to-
I got one phone call, you know, that's opposed to it. And my feeling is we turn down the other 2, I don't feel we can go ahead and allow this to happen.
I
Because
agree.
I think we'd be sticking our head in the noose by doing so from the other 2 that we turned down.
And what was the reasoning for turning down the other ones?
And it didn't fit into the comp plan at the time, and the neighbors were opposed. Mr. Ruder, you got anything to say about that? rezone?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Oh, okay. I just thought I'd ask, because I know you're in there.
Is she neighbor?
Yeah, you would live right down the road from that, am I correct?
You own the property next to it.
Yeah.
You own the property next to it, Don.
What's that?
You own the property next to it.
Yes.
Yes.
What do people want to put in this area?
Residential.
New houses?
You mean for the application one?
Yeah, why is it big, like,
Or the
it's, what's it
application,
doing?
it's storage facilities.
Storage facilities?
Yeah, and that's, Mr. Eller came to us, and we denied him, and it was for storage facilities.
And that was right next door?
Yes, and also Solutions right across the road, they wanted to put them behind that building.
More
And that was-
storage.
Yes, and that was denied.
Basically,
Yeah,
something.
not Solutions.
Yeah.
Why does everybody want to put storage there? That's my question.
It's just a storage unit.
Well, there is-
No,
Okay,
Solutions
that's
is,
just,
yeah.
that's all I want to make sure.
Yeah,
Uh,
and we do have storage units, what is it, out on 97, Dorothy?
Right.
Yes, and there's, because I read the thing that came, and it says you don't have any in the township, I believe it was worded, and that's not true. Because they're right on 97, and now they're putting them in on 97 in that triangle where Trimpac used to be. That storage building are going in there, so,
Mhm.
you know, that part where he says you currently don't have any in the township is not true.
I drive by it every day.
And it was suggested to the gentleman that it could have been, because it's, what, 3.8 acres? Not quite enough for 2-acre lots, but they could probably get a variance to put 2 houses there. You know,
Possibly
that would
split
fit
it.
in better.
Yeah.
But I know, you know, Mr. Berg did come and give a good presentation.
Well, I'm here, I'm just listening to your discussion. I guess I don't understand why you turned it down in the past when you have commercial property on the corner, you have the apartments across from that, and a quarter mile down the road, you've got the church and then you have the vet service on the corner. How can you not turn down another business that's coming into your area? That's actually going to add to your tax base. Currently I own Rim Mountain Self-Storage up in Rim Mountain, and that was the old John Felton place, and before Jeff Dusky bought it, it was actually an eyesore, the same as the one up in the town of Rim Mountain that I bought, and then developed that up there. So I pay about $1,000 a month up there in taxes, and I would imagine that the same thing would happen here. On that parcel of land that I've talked to with American County, there's actually a room for probably 10 buildings on there that I'd be looking at. But if we get 6 on there, that would probably be appropriate. And then you leave the outside border of the trees that are there now. In the last planning commission, there was a discussion about the lights, that there'd be too much lights there. The lights that we use now is not any more than what you have in this room. They're not any higher than that. They're a little bit smaller than that exit sign, and they only illuminate 30 feet out. So if you're at the end of the building, none of that light's gonna illuminate even onto the road. It's not gonna be there. So the lighting is not gonna actually bother the people that are living in the area. As far as vehicles going down that road, right now you got 4,100 cars that go down that road every day, and you're putting a quick trip uptown, that's gonna create more traffic on that road than whatever I'm gonna create. And I don't hear anybody opposing to that. So whatever your problem was in the past, I don't think should go forward with it at this point. If you keep taking businesses and pushing them out of your area, your growth in the township is stagnant. I work as a realtor, and I worked up in the town where I work in Rim Mountain for the last 20 years, and I finally moved back to Stratford, and I became a realtor in Marshall area, but you have a little bit of a knock here that nothing's happening anymore in the town of McMillan. Maybe that's what you're looking for, maybe that's what you want, I don't know, but usually municipalities, they want to continue to grow, they want to continue to improve their situation for the people that are actually coming into the area. If you keep saying no to people like me, pretty soon they're not going to come and ask you for anything to do in this township anymore. And it's going to stay the way it is. And you're not going to be improving your road. You're not going to be having that extra tax base come in. It doesn't matter to me if I do it or not do it. I've got a couple other places to do it. But I've been looking probably for the last 4 years in the township here. And I offered to buy that man. And I know Elder tried to put it up. But whatever happened in the past, that's in the past. It shouldn't affect anything that's going on now. As far as lighting, like I said, I'm not putting up 40-foot poles. It's like you have in here. The lights are 10 feet in the air. That's it. They illuminate 30 feet up. So the candle lights are there. So if you got any other questions, by all means ask me.
Any questions?
I think in the past, it was just different issues with different things, and they are separate issues, but the biggest issue with this right now is simply it's not in a comp plan for what we have, and it is changing. There's always variances and everything else, but I mean, I can go back to when I first got into politics with the whole smart growth and everything else. I think it's just, we've fell behind keeping up with some of the stuff.
It might change completely when we change the comp plan.
Right.
I mean, we don't know. But as far as the apartments down there, that's in the city. And as far as the quick trip going in there, that's in the city. That's not in the town of McMillan.
Yeah, one of our battles that we've discussed over the past few years too is Man Road. Man Road gets used by a lot more people than the McMillan residents, and there was a discussion of that going straight to 97, whether that ever happens or not. Part of my feeling was redoing Man Road, bringing it up to spec, and having Marathon County take it over on us after we take everybody's tax dollars to bring it up to spec. And it's still kind of a touchy how much money we stick into a township road when it's basically a highway.
Yeah.
So the problem you have with Man is, as it degrades, if you have a serious accident or some kind of issue out there because of the degraded condition, you have liability issues. So you gotta be careful of that. And on the business stuff, we're gonna lose a big chunk of commercial property to the city of Marshfield here very shortly.
Which one?
The one down on 97 that the city just approved, or is working on annexing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna, that's tax base that you've lost,
Mm-hmm.
and that's bad.
Right.
And losing more, his point on tax base is correct. Now, is that property, the property to have a conversation about? That might be a different issue. But overall, I think we need to start having a discussion about losing commercial tax base. It's bad.
Well, that's why we need to get the comp plan changed too, which that's what we're all working on.
How does that fall in the joint stuff between us and Marshfield for that?
That is in the joint planning area,
It's
but
also in the no contest one.
it's all in the no contest
I think
also.
Mr. Bird brought up a good point, though. Do we know what we want in the township? I mean, as a township.
That's why we just hired Dennis last month.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I like to see it not have a whole lot of commercial
Mm-hmm.
and mainly residential zoning for people with large tracts of land or small or medium. But, I mean, we may have to change that just to survive. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you may have to change
Sections.
small portions of it.
Sections,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly. Not change the big.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, we'll be changing it big when we were reviewing the comp plan.
Yeah,
We'll have to be going through all of that and decide what we're gonna do in that section of property and where we're gonna put our commercial and.
Anything around V&H is gonna be an issue. Anything around V&H, anything around Menards, anything in that area.
And that's also in the no
That's already-
contest area.
Yeah, that's,
Yes.
That's across this.
it's already been annexed.
Yep. Or no, they kind of go around there. But I need a motion.
And, you know, maybe that should have never been put in rural residential. I don't know when that happened.
The question is, do we want to fix it for this project?
Well, somebody in here who's way smarter than this whole country boy, please explain to me what's involved with Marshfield just deciding they're gonna annex our
No,
land.
no.
They know the
Marshfield doesn't.
How does this work?
It's the individual.
The landowner themselves
Request.
are the
No,
ones
that's,
who ask for it.
that's what, that answers my question.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't just go out and recruit. I know,
Well,
it
no.
doesn't work that way. So,
If an individual has to make a request that that land
right,
that's touching close, okay.
yeah, that they want to be annexed into the city if they do.
And what would be the purpose of that?
They like higher taxes, I don't know.
I would say, because it is a higher tax rate.
Well, service.
No, they don't like higher taxes, they like services.
Yeah,
Service, the services, the
Oh.
sewer.
the water, the
Water,
sewer,
all
yeah.
that, what you get.
But that's, well, and McHugh's, they just annexed in. And the reason that they did, she's got what did she have there, Patty, 80 acres?
65.
65 acres, okay. They annexed in because they figured it would be a better selling point. That's
And
why.
they've got the sewer across there already, that's where one of their wells is for the city.
Mhm.
Right.
So, I mean, that was their reasoning to annex in,
But
so.
we have to figure out how we keep that property and work with the city so the services get provided, but it stays in our tax base.
It's a little hard to do.
It is very hard to do, but
Mhm.
you gotta try to do it.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Okay, we need a motion.
I would vote to approve it.
Is that a motion?
Sure, my motion is to approve it.
Okay. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? Patty, you want to do a roll call? Kevin?
Abstain.
Sorry, sir, but
You can't abstain, you were part of the discussion.
if you abstain, you must, according to law, abstain completely even from discussion.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Can't bail out here. Can't bail out.
No, can't bail on this
Yes.
one. Gary?
No.
Yes,
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Debbie?
No. Motion carried.
So it goes to the county now?
Yep.
That's what I wanted to see the county.
I feel good. I mean, the tax, the extra money, if that's right on the next,
It's
it's
a
right
tough
next.
call. It's a tough call.
Well, once they make a public hearing up there, I'm guessing they're gonna have a house full.
You guessing what?
They're gonna have a house full.
They can do
Well,
that.
that's.
Yeah.
I get you guys declined it before, I wasn't part of that, so I.
Not this one.
This is a tough call. This is not easy.
I know, I feel like it's really close to enough other commercial stuff that it's kind of a good location, and it has the potential for
And
growth.
then behind it though, now they've got farmland.
You know, a week
Right,
And
but
then
it-
right behind
farmland,
that,
not
now
houses.
this, then right behind that is the residential.
Yeah, the deer run
Okay,
area.
now that property right behind
well,
that
we
is,
recommend,
gonna be
we
sold.
pass it.
It's been up for sale.
We do not,
They did want to sell it to
we're
develop.
just advising.
But it's right on the edge of where you have everything else.
I know.
You know, it's
Yeah, I mean, there's a church there, there's a vet there, there's other
Because
stuff
Mr.
there.
Allen will be coming too.
That's all right.
Okay, next item,
It's kind of,
credit card account, Patty.
So as far as I'm concerned, all I had is,
comment.
John?
I'm wondering where do you guys say that you can't participate in that discussion when you abstain?
That John Felton still owns,
Patty, want to answer that?
and it's gonna spoil it.
From previous legal counsel, they've said that if a board member is involved in the discussion of
We don't
a
know.
motion,
You don't know what's gonna
that
happen. Why
they can't abstain just to
Someone might
abstain.
come in and want to develop.
I think that
We don't know.
I would encourage you to get that reviewed because I don't know that that's necessarily correct.
Okay,
Problem is, we had discussion before we had a motion. We didn't discuss it after. the
That's,
motion was seconded.
abstaining, you're right, it's a difficult call when somebody can abstain. Generally speaking, if you're involved in the discussion of any motion where a decision is gonna be made, you can abstain if there's some reason that you have a conflict of interest, okay? Even if you.
right.
But unless
But
Kevin
if
has
you
a
do
good
that, you
conflict
should
of
also
interest there,
abstain
he
from the
really
discussion.
should not abstain. It's just a way of not voting when they
No,
tell.
I understand, but I just Googled it quick and it says, let's see, abstain due to conflict, no, I went back.
I just remember some legal debates at the clinic when I was involved, where a couple of people wanted to abstain because they didn't have the guts to vote on a tough issue because they're gonna catch crap on either side. And they were told, look, you are on this executive committee, if you have no conflict of interest, there's not, that's just what I remember and reading about it. Now, I'm not sure it's worth, getting a.
Right. Okay. Patty, credit card.
So the current credit card was applied for through Pioneer Bank, but with their new merger, that credit card no longer goes through the bank. And it also has the former clerk's name on that credit card. So when I went to try and use it at the post office, even though it says Tom McMillan and I had the minutes, they wouldn't allow me to use the card. So I went back to Pioneer, which is now called First State Bank, and they actually suggested making a new application through their bank and canceling the current card. So that's where we're at.
We have what, $1,000 limit on that one?
Yes,
So what we're gonna do is close out one and open another?
correct.
Okay.
John's gonna do it.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't go with something that, I don't, maybe this credit card does, but some card that offers some cash back on it?
This is just happens to be at our bank. Okay, we had it at Pioneer before and,
No, I mean, but
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's either cutting a check to Pioneer or cutting a check to Chase, and cutting a check to Chase that is 1% less than what you'd be paying to Pioneer. I mean, it's not significant savings, but it's
Yeah.
Needs money.
Mm-hmm.
some savings.
what do you guys want to
Needs
do?
money. Oh, I don't know much.
Makes no difference.
I mean, do they give a cash back to
How
municipality?
much?
I mean, I know individuals get it, but.
Yeah, that's true, can a municipality even apply for some of that stuff?
Well,
And how much do we really use
1%
it?
cash back on purchases.
Unlimited 1% cash back, there you go.
There you go.
All right, motion to approve.
What are you approving?
What is it?
Where are we going?
The Pioneer Bank one that she.
First State Bank.
First State Bank.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the limit on this card?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000?
Mm-hmm.
Do we really use it that often?
Probably more so than what your bigger. Yeah.
But what I was trying to get at is, it's not a $25,000, $50,000.
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
This is just for if Patty needs stamps, or if the fire department needs to order something and they can't get it unless it's online, or.
I second the motion, you made the motion? Okay.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have one question. And I know we've had a problem. Do we want to keep one card where some things one party needs and the other one's got it? Or can we get two cards?
We said, we
If
have,
you get two cards, you're splitting the amount,
yeah.
which is what.
So then you're limited to 500 on each card? Is that what
Which
you
is,
said?
yes, which is what happened when the fire department had two cards. They split the amount. So if you split the amount of 1,000, then you have a $500 limit on
500.
two cards, and we've already got a approved purchase order to buy a computer for $700. How do we do that?
Can't you just do an authorized user? Like a
I don't
second
know.
authorized
I
user
haven't
with a second card?
Is it,
What we've done in the last, couple of years or whatever, if they need something, email it to her. She'll get it ordered.
is it working okay with one card? Will one card work, okay?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
The one card is working, but I do not believe that the limit on the card is working that low. We've been waiting for a RIP bag that has had to be postponed because of the fact that.
How much is it?
Patty, it's $350. We've already had the POs already
Right.
approved for it, but we've had to hold off because you had to buy stuff for election stuff, which ran it, and then when we got that paid off, and then I believe Gary had some lights.
Well, Gary's lights aren't even ordered yet. The issue with the red bag was, there was a grant that needed to be done, that got a computer play grant, and then COVID and all the extra, for the elections.
You want to up it to 2,000?
Well, either, I guess my feeling is either we should up it or have two different cards, so we don't run it. I know Patty ended up having to buy quite a few dollars worth of stamps out of her pocket because she didn't have the card.
There's no reason we shouldn't have mine.
She used the festival card and on a couple.
No, she didn't.
They did go and get, a roll stamps at festival, on the festival card, but I also had to buy stamps.
Well, look, I hope this,
$100.
I hope what I'm about to say doesn't annoy anybody in the audience, but $1,000 ain't anything these days, okay? It's just not, okay? And trying to do, I mean, that's just my feeling. I mean, you know, it's just not much money. Now, if we were talking going up on the limit to $10,000, $20,000, I get nervous because you can get in trouble.
You put somebody else's name on it. We
So,
can go to Vegas.
No, I mean, but you know what I mean. But up in the limit so that business can take place without too many hassles. To 2,000 is not gonna hurt anything.
No.
I don't think anybody in the audience would think that it would, I hope not, but I wouldn't go higher than that, but I'd recommend upping it if.
Yeah,
If
my
the
only
person
question
who-
would be is if the bank would allow it. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
did the
they
bank
will.
set
You
the
gotta-
limit or did we set the limit?
We set the limits.
If the person who
We
made,
just have to fill out the application for that.
if the person who made the motion agrees to change it to a $2,000 limit, I second it, and that's all we gotta do, we don't have to hold separate things. She'd have to agree that it's the only way to handle this, it's the easiest way to handle the problem, so. I'm fine with 2,000 a year.
Do I need to rephrase all of that or do I?
Patty, does she need to rephrase all of that?
Are you making an amendment to your motion to increase the?
A friendly amendment, we just changed it to 2,000 and I agree, so you don't have to vote twice. I'm just telling you, that I know what Paul meant.
Yes.
What he said.
Okay.
No, I just didn't know if, which way to go so we don't have a repeat. If it's better to up it to 2,000 or better to get two cards, the one that the fire department can have and one that we got at $1,000 each.
Well, when you're sitting there and you're looking at computers and they're almost $1,000 by itself,
Right.
I would say leave it at
And
one
even
or
that is
two.
cheap.
And we pay it every month,
Yeah.
so I think we're fine with one card at 2,000.
If we have to, we can change later, but
Yeah.
this is gonna work for now, so I think.
Seems like we go through this all the time
Mhm.
with change of clerk. This is just the way it is. It's in the.
And you will continue, if it changes, you'll have to get a new card.
Do they have to put your name on it? They can't just list it as town
From
of
what they told
McMillan?
me, yes.
Yeah, they have to have her name on it. So when she goes somewhere to physically use it, I mean, when they're ordering from Amazon and stuff, then it
Then it
don't
doesn't
matter.
But then does that run into an issue when the fire department tries to go use it?
No, because
We
they
run it all
don't,
through
they don't
Patty.
go to use it, we just,
Oh,
They email it to her and she takes care of it.
so it just works that way?
Yeah.
I use my wife's card all the time. Nobody asks me. I don't look like Haley.
How do you
Mine
know?
too, but my husband's name is Jamie and it's spelled with a Y, so they just assume that that's me.
Okay, so we got the motion, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, Patty, liquor license for the Belvedere Club and Resource Recovery.
they're both, annual renewals that expire June 30th and need board approval. They've done everything, they've done the application, there's no response to the publication, and everything looks good.
How many liquor licenses do we have in the township?
2,
Okay.
Belvedere and Resource Recovery.
We actually have more license than that.
You have more available, you issue.
But that's what we
two
issue right
issued.
now. 2
Yes.
Is that limited based on like population?
Yes, the state gives you the number, and then you got usually 1 or 2 in reserve that'll cost you $10,500, and then you get some back.
How does the temporary one for the fire department work for Fall Fest?
That's,
What do you mean, how does it work?
That's like a picnic
That's like
It's
license.
a picnic license
license.
due to the nonprofit status.
okay, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve
I'll second.
2 liquor licenses.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Committee appointments for the Finance Committee, Jess will be taking care of that, and we've got John Cockle and Stephanie Gunmanson. I need a motion to approve.
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Is that all they had, was 3 on there?
Yeah, so.
We had 5 before, 2 backed out. As long as we have an odd number, we're okay.
Okay, well, that was,
I'm working on getting a few more, I just gotta
She just said
meet
that.
with 5 people.
And then I would also like to appoint Larry Sanford. He's volunteered again to check the pavilion after the rentals. So I need a motion to adopt him.
Motion to adopt Larry Standard to check the pavilion.
In a second,
I'll-
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then for the Plan Commission, Dorothy and Bruce's appointments have come up, and I'd like to reappoint. So I need a motion on that, unless they run out the door. Dorothy's gone already.
I make the motion.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then we got the Highway Committee, and we got Jim Seaver, Clarence Ortell, Paul Mansell, Gary Brands, Kevin Stebbins. I need a
I would move to
approve, okay, and I need a second.
I'll second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're done with that. COVID grants, opportunities and approval, Patty.
Still typing. I'm calling you now.
While she's typing, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So he checks on that after, like who manages like all the flowers and weeds?
If you wanna go water them, go ahead.
Well, I'm just asking, because I was gonna go pick weeds the other day.
You can
and
get
I wanted to
weeds anytime
spray.
you want.
I really want to treat the whole park for dandelions, because I sprayed my yard, and then it's pointless. So I was wondering
Well, look at the
if I
concrete.
can do that. Because.
On your dime, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Your time and your dime.
Yeah,
That's fine.
you can pull weeds till cows come home.
Yeah. I do mine and nobody around me does theirs, so.
There's nobody around me, so it should be just fine, but then there's this big
You
field
gotta
here
stop.
that's full of dandelions.
Oh, they're almost gone.
Ugh.
Time of year.
Well,
No, I was just
That's
over there
all
with
we
the
got.
kids the other day, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
I wonder who
have
needs this
Creepy
and who
Charlie
does
and
this
all this
stuff.
other
Well, he just
stuff.
sprayed this last week,
Chickweed.
and that takes a few days.
Does Clark do all of that stuff? Okay, I wasn't sure if they did all that or just mowing it, and that's why I was just curious.
I'm not
Just general curiosity,
Yeah.
real.
I think Clyde Winnie had planted the flowers, I'm not sure. Did he?
Oh,
And he waters them at times and stuff.
Okay, because I wasn't sure, I thought it was him that did it, but,
I think Dorothy's been watering some of them too.
has she?
Because
I know she did last year.
Larry got some portable for the hose or whatever.
Okay. Tell
So
me when you're ready.
The one grant that I can tell you that I would like to see the board approve right away is the Wisconsin Election Commission CARES sub-grant program. They're not requiring an application, they're not requiring anything other than a signed agreement. And in order to get the money, that signed agreement will be sent to all municipalities this week. And then there's a webinar on how to best spend the money, but at this point, they've got a a formula. So they will allocate a minimum of $200 per municipality plus $1.10 per registered voter. They need to decide whether or not they're gonna take that number as of June 1st or June 25th, but that's up to the election commission, and yes, I don't ever wanna go to another meeting that they have. So, at the way we're sitting right now, we could get up to $1,659.70. It's not a reimbursable grant, it's only moving forward. We can use it for August if we get board approval tonight. If not, you're probably gonna have all your expenses already done for August, and you're looking at November. The other thing that the state is gonna do with this CARES grant is, send out a letter to all registered voters who do not have specific absentee applications on file, sending them the information to apply and an application. So we're anticipating that we could go up to 60% absentee ballots for November. Oh my.
So what
Lisa
is
still
this
never got
about?
hers, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Lisa still never got hers, by the way.
Lisa did get hers, she brought it back to me.
Did she?
Yes.
I will talk to my wife.
Okay. I do have it in the vault if you'd like to see it.
Well, is there
The
any,
What is
timeline,
the grant for, or is it, I mean, money for
Election.
so the CARES grant has got to be anything in response to COVID.
Oh, okay.
There's 5 different categories that we can spend it on. Unfortunately, what they're telling us we can spend it on, I've already spent money on, so we have to find a different grant to find out, make sure we can get it reimbursed. This grant can't get reimbursed. I don't have an issue with this grant. I don't know that we're gonna get a lot of money. I mean, $1,600 on the election grand scheme of things in this year is not a lot.
is there any reason not to apply for this grant? Or go forward with this? I'm just
No.
asking.
The only thing that, any other municipality has questioned, and I've questioned, is the fact that even though this is a grant moving forward for future expense, any funds that a municipality has expended up until this grant, the state is asking that we turn that spreadsheet into them so they can use the funds to match their 20% of the CARES grant. Now, if we find another grant that we will get reimbursed, possibly for election expense for COVID, which at this point in time, it's really not that much. If you find another grant, then we can't turn that spreadsheet with
Right.
the total cost into the state, because you can't use the same expenses in 2 different federal grants.
So I do have a question. On the CARE Act, there are 2 separate versions of it. One is for healthcare, EMS. We can take all of our receipts for the fire department and turn those in and get reimbursed for all of that. But there is also another one out there for townships where there is $32,900 and some odd dollars allocated to the town of McMillan between March and October 31st of 2020 to turn your receipts in, and you can draw money out of that to reimburse your township for those receipts. And when the $32,900 some dollars is gone, you have just been reimbursed the amount of money that that CARES Act will send your direction.
That is a completely different grant program that we can move into, but let's stick to election commission for the minute, because otherwise we're gonna, Lori, we're
We're
gonna
talking
get
about
confused.
election.
I didn't know if that was part of this or, okay.
2 different complete programs.
The CARES grant is federal funding that is administered through the state, and then municipalities and a lot of people. The state can make those funds available to a lot of different organizations. The one that we're talking about right now, and the one that I need your first attention on, because it will become available this week, is the Election Commission CARES sub-grant program.
It's to encourage people to absentee vote, is that what?
So that's part of what the state will do in their overall $7 point something million grant. state has millions of dollars in their CARES grant. This is a sub-grant of that to help municipalities with the additional absentees.
I move that we go forward with this.
I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carried. That was easy enough. Any others?
I don't have that much information on the other ones, maybe the finance committee can review some.
Yeah, I'll give you a website, hang on to your shorts.
It's a rather lengthy one, I've looked through it, all of our expenses on the EMS side of it would be covered, and that would be a grant to the DHS for EMS, and that would come out of a $10 million CARES grant that DHS has. All I have to do is create an account, submit all my receipts, and they approve it, and the money gets sent.
No, do they give you 100%?
Yes,
Or is
they
it, okay? Because I know some of these, they're very specific on on those seminars that I have already taken, but I'll send them to you, John. And Jessica, if you guys wanna
Sure.
sit and watch them.
That's somebody you don't have anything to do.
Yeah, it's always,
Right,
always,
because
always.
I frequently have nothing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Picnic and Fall Fest. We have a dilemma. Are we going to, or aren't we?
What is the date for the Fall Fest?
September 12th, September 12th, 2020.
Or, yeah, the 12th for that. And our picnic is
July 26th.
26th.
Just to make one thing clear, the board can only say no. The
Right,
board
well,
can't say. the
that's
board-
what we're
no, I'm
having
saying,
this
So the
discussion.
picnic and the
Fall
fall festival should be considered separately. And if
Right.
you know the two events, they're completely separate.
We're gonna consider
Right.
it.
They're, okay,
Yeah.
because they are completely
Right, they're
separate.
both
And
separate.
one is held at the pavilion with less than 100 people normally at any one time, and that's over 500 at times, so.
Well,
it's
there's
at the
They're
place.
two separate things, and we're gonna be voting on them both separately, because the time frames and that's why we're having this
That's the big
discussion.
deal. That's-
Yeah, so. do
Make
we
a
want-
motion to approve Fall Fest,
Well, wait a second here.
so we can discuss it.
Okay,
Yeah.
you wanna do Fall Fest first?
Yes.
Okay, because it says picnic on here first.
I said Fall Fest.
Okay,
Well, we can discuss Fall Fest.
Doesn't matter.
Motion to approve the decision to hold the event, do I understand you correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
okay. And we need a second to discuss it, I'll second it. And Rod, what do you guys wanna do?
Did you second it?
Yes.
We have, as you know, we've not been able to have a meeting to have an official vote on this. That, well, I mean, we can have a special meeting prior to our meeting at the end of the month, and if the group felt that we can wait till the end of the month to make a decision at that time.
Okay.
And that's what we're wishing to do with this.
Well, the reason that we wanted to find out what you guys wanted to do was that we need to approve the expenditures also and get that started.
That's the other flip side at this time for the Fall Fest stuff. You actually cannot approve anything.
Until
because
you
the proper
decide.
way, for the proper way for it to go is the group has to say that we need this money, and then I have to bring it to the board. And since I haven't brought it to the board, we can't spend anything out of that account. So that one's kind of a.
Well, you wanna hold it till next month?
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me about both,
Yeah.
you know, and there's a
I
lot
mean,
of
where are you
people,
guys
a lot of
standing right
people out
now
there.
roughly? Do you know if you're gonna kind of plan on it, or?
Not even sure.
It's changing as more information comes in, as more things cancel. It looks more like we're gonna cancel, but like I say, it's up to the rank and file, it's up to the volunteers that are actually there, and it's
Mhm.
members on the department
Right.
that have to make the decision. As a chief, I mean, unless I felt it was 100% no.
Well, they're talking right
then-
now in the country, because I read a lot these days, and retired and having a real good phone, about opening football games starting in September where they'll, now it's not just playing in stadiums with everybody watching on TV. 25,000 people in the stadium instead of 100. People want to be together. I mean, I think that's what's going on with these riots right now. Everybody's so freaking penned up. They just want to look for something to go
They need
nuts.
something to do.
Something to go nuts, really, but needed some event to trigger them. So I'm not against the Fall Fest at all, but I think making the firm decision. Is-
You're either gonna have it or you're not gonna have it.
And when, and because I'd hate for us to spend a bunch of money and find out in August that we're going backwards with the COVID.
Well, there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. Marathon County just had 30 positive cases of COVID due to a wedding get-together. That was more than 10 people. Did not do social distancing. We can't social distance 500 people there. In Portage County, there were 15 cases of positive COVID due to a graduation party that everybody decided to get together at. So the more people you're starting to get together, the more positive cases are coming out.
Exactly, and it's why I'd have a tough time saying yes right now, we're gonna have it. And I'm not saying, I'm saying no, but you may need a little more time. Now,
That's
My other thought process is, are people going to come?
that's another
And if
issue.
they're not gonna be 500 people, is it worth having?
Right, that's a good point.
Right?
too.
How many people do you think will really show up, and then is it really gonna even be?
Well, there's
beneficial?
two trains of thought. One is that we will be overcome because it'll be, I mean,
Because
if
it'll
we
be like
can get
the
a
whole
band, if we
event.
can get a band that'll
Right.
play,
Yeah.
You got about Jerry Schmidt?
yes, but he may or may not, he's,
Well, he's gonna do the street dance that they're planning right now over at Stratford, so.
okay.
I mean,
Well,
they're up
he's
on the
not gonna-
stage,
he's
she's
not
not
gonna return the
really
phone
around,
calls
you
and
know,
stuff like
in
that.
the.
But if you could put a posting though here.
So,
Yeah.
I think Deb suggested, maybe we'll know more next month. Is that too late?
No.
Why don't we wait? I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to say no right now, but there's some good points brought up here. I'd hate to have a party and nobody come, you know, it's a.
I mean, cases, there are reporting more. I mean, they're testing, I think the other day was 16,000 some in Wisconsin, but the rate is down, it was like 2.29. So the percentage,
But you're still having outbreaks from gatherings.
yes, yes.
That's the problem.
I didn't hear about the one in Washington.
And that's the one thing I don't wanna have is a COVID party.
Because if you think about this from my EMS standpoint, you have people getting together who you don't know who have been tested, who haven't been tested. Is somebody there that has it that we don't know that has it, who isn't social distancing or wearing a mask? I mean, that's how.
And then you add alcohol.
Then you add alcohol to the whole thing, and then it's a whole nother whole ball of wax.
I think, the last couple of months, I do believe that people are social distancing, and it's in the back of their head constantly. I really do.
Some people yes, some people no.
But you're always
Depends on
gonna
what
have
party you
that.
go to.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we can
one of your
wait,
wife was with you.
wait till next month, that'll take care of that discussion. As far as the party, the picnic, I'm ready to say that July is way too early to be having something like this.
Give a motion to.
That's
There's a
a
motion on the table right now, on Fall Fest.
Well, okay.
We gotta do that first.
Now, while we were having a discussion, he made the motion to have it, and they said it needed more time.
I guess the thing is as a board, you can, I mean, he says yes, that you guys can say yes. And if we have our election or we vote on this and we say no, well, it's done. I mean, the volunteers speak. They're the ones that gotta do the work. So, I mean, it doesn't go against what you guys are saying. You're just giving like the permission because of the COVID stuff. I mean, that's.
Somebody second?
Yes. Yeah, there's a second. And if you wanna table it, that would be to vote it down, and then make a motion to table it till next month.
So even voting yes to it doesn't change anything. If the fire department doesn't feel comfortable having it, they don't have it.
Now, here.
We're not making them do it by voting yes to it.
I wanna know one thing
We're
about
just telling them
voting.
they have our support.
I wanna know one thing about voting yes. In the unlikely event that next month there are some issues that have changed and it looks like we shouldn't have it, but again, in the unlikely event, the fire department said, no, we're gonna have it, can we vote it down? If we voted yes today?
Could we vote that if they said yes, they wanna
In
do
a
this?
month.
Yes, we could turn around and say no.
All right.
It would also be, I mean, if those things came up, it would probably also be on our side that we would probably be going, we're not having it, we're canceling it.
I'm
Even if we said yes,
aware,
because, I
that's
mean-
why I said what I said in the
What you need,
unlikely event.
I think the proper parliamentary procedure would be a motion to postpone to the next meeting.
We have a motion on the table right now.
Well,
You can make a secondary
you can
motion
you
on
can
the
table the
original motion.
I would, the only thing about tabling the motion, it's not discussable. table the motion.
Okay, Kevin, why don't you table your motion?
I'll move the table.
I'll table my motion.
I need a second.
I'll second his table the motion.
Okay, that's where we're at, Patty. Table it till next month. Okay, picnic.
Well, we have to vote on the table.
Oh, that's right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now the picnic. That is July 26th.
I would move that we cancel the picnic. It's too early, July.
Okay.
We're not gonna, by the fall, we'll know more about what's gonna happen in the world. Right now, it's not in the summer, I think we're making a mistake to happen. And I've talked to several people today who agree with that, who are involved with the picnic.
Okay.
So I move that
We need a second on that.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Anybody?
Now, I'm not generally opposed to the picnic at all, I like the picnic. This is just too early to be.
I have a feeling that if we do have it, it's gonna be very, very slim for
Right.
body count.
And I would move.
And I did have some people asking me, and they feel that July yet probably is a little too
It is,
early.
yeah.
But you know, the Fall Fest is another 6 weeks after that.
We'll have it next year.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of events are being canceled, everything, all the festivals and the summer.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, we also need now a motion to approve the application for the DNR grant for the fire department. And that grant is actually due July 1st, you said?
Yes.
And then this is for, it said due July 1st, but it's for 2021, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So right now, basically, they basically are collecting all of the data, everybody that wants it. And roughly September, they're gonna let the departments know of what they get. So that when it goes into the budget time, you can budget for it. And then after the first of the year, then you.
And you'll know at budget time if we're gonna have it?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not the first meeting, but roughly in September, usually around Fall Fest,
Okay.
it comes out. I do have the application here, so I can give you some numbers and stuff if you wish for that information.
Yeah, roughly.
We're going for, and we go for 5 coats every year instead, so it doesn't all come out at the same time. That's roughly about $825. We have Nomex hoods, which we also cross-use for firefighting structurally, and we also use it for the wildland. That's roughly $250. And then we're going for 4 more radios again this coming year. That's $6,859.84.
Now, is that a 50/50 type?
That's a
thing?
50/50 grant.
In
And I
total?
did, and I was told last month that there's some questions on the radios. Basically, these are the new radios that we purchased this last time around.
Well, my question was, we got new radios, and I remember we had to get all the 4-bank chargers. Are the chargers that we just bought a couple years ago compatible with these?
They're not, and none of them are gonna be compatible. The tapes themselves have been changed. I brought all of them with me. The tapes also have been changed, so they're not gonna be the same. But the chargers that we bought are not one-fit chargers. They have adapters that go inside. So you can purchase adapters. So when we need adapters, we're gonna be able to get adapters for them, and then you put them in the unit.
These radios, just an off-the-cuff question, how far do these things reach without having to go through towers or whatever there?
Basically, you cover about half the township with the radio if you're in the right location. If you're in the wrong location, it'll barely get across the road. But, I mean, we're talking steel building, we're talking.
But if you're
granite
outside.
stuff. Well, if we're outside, we should be able to get halfway across. Now, the radios are set up to work off the antennas that comes in the Stratford. And 99% of the time, you can reach that tower when it's working properly.
Okay.
And that's the reason that we have, I mean, you can go over the numbers that we have for radios, but we're trying to put a radio basically in there. Once you're off probation, we try to get a radio in your pocket. And the reason that we do that is a lot of people are either first responders or they show up to help the first responders. And you know, with all the news of everything going on, with firefighters being shot, I don't want to think that our community is capable of that. But basically, when you read the news, every community is capable of that, of having somebody in the field. And at least if they have a radio, they can either squeeze the mic and say help, or they can just squeeze the mic and whatever's being said at that time goes over the dispatch channel, which gives dispatch a chance to say, we need more officers. So, or if it's just a pulseless on breather or whatever, we can relay to Marshfield that the situation with the patient is going downhill and we're gonna need more resources or whatever.
And how many do we have right now?
We're roughly running, I believe right now, we're roughly 20 radios. And the reason that we're upgrading, is that going forward in time, is because that's kind of a budget thing. You don't want to replace all radios at the one time. These are the radios that they're kind of replacing. These will still be on the rig in the chargers and available to the people that do not have them because they're on probation. They can grab them. But as you see, there's no display on them. You have to look up here, remember the numbers, and then we've got a cheat sheet here for which channel that they're on. And these are roughly 20 years old. John Bajelski purchased these.
But we've always been, when we have a DNR grant, we normally try to get new radios just to continuously update. That's the way we've done that.
And that's, prior to that, we were getting Class A foam. I've got enough Class A foam to take care of us for a while, so we switched to the radios because that's someplace where we want to try to upgrade. And roughly 15 years ago, that's when we went to the Tates. And this was a grant that the county applied for, and that's where we replaced most of our radios. This is most of what they're carrying. But you can see the size difference, and they're 15 years old, so we want to be proactive instead of all of a sudden, we lost 5 radios because they're no longer working. Or they changed the software and they're not upgradable anymore to change the frequencies and stuff, so we want to keep moving along without having to purchase, a large amount.
So you need this board to approve
The application for the DNR grant.
need that?
And we need a second.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Need a motion to adjourn.
I'll have to do that.
And I will second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are done.
Thank you.
You are not leaving.
No, I know we gotta sign.
You gotta sign a
So
paper.
everybody here, if anybody asks you about dead deer, tell them, don't call my office.
Call Gary.
We don't do it, I got another one today.
The recommendation, truly, the recommendation for dead deer is move it yourself and move it early. There was one on stock, and I'm serious. I went to work, it was there, I came back from work, it was a cool day. I'm getting this thing out of the ditch so I don't have to look at it and smell it. And that's exactly what I did, because that's what you have to do. No county's picking them up, no.
That's what I told the lady today. I says, if it's been dead, you should have got it when before it became ripe.